All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for What Am I Watching? This is a program where myself, some of our other GDL library staff are going to talk about TV shows and movies that you can get through the Genesee District Library. We lend out both television shows and movies on DVD, 4K, and Blu ray discs. Recently, we went fine free, so there's going to be no late fee if you are keep them a little longer. As long as you bring them back, no fines. We can also get movies and some television shows digitally through our Hoopla app. I'm Kevin, the Digital Services Librarian, and I'm joined by Leah, Forest Township Librarian, Alger, our Business Librarian, and Kim, one of our library assistants. How's everyone doing?
Good. Very good.
All right. So we're each going to highlight something we're currently watching. And if anyone viewing has any questions or comments, put them in the chat and we will try to reply to them. And I will get started. I am watching the TV show Fargo, specifically the second season. And the TV series is a spin off of the 1996 movie, which was written by the Coen brothers. The movie and each season of the show follow incidents that happen around Fargo, North Dakota. Usually, some would be criminals get caught up over their head. They're trying not to get caught by the police or other criminals. So, each season in the movie, they all take place in the same universe, but they're largely unconnected. You could watch season one of the show without watching the movie, or just grab whatever random season is available. Despite all the crime, it is a very funny show, very funny movie, some great dark humor. And like I said, right now I'm currently in the second season, and it revolves around this crime family, the Gerhardt family. Their youngest son, Rye, doesn't feel respected. He wants to make a name for himself. So they send him out to threaten a local judge. He meets this judge at a diner. Threatening does not go well. He ends up killing the judge and two other people in the diner. As he tries to flee, he gets hit by a car, struck in the windshield, and that's the background for our other characters, Ed and Peggy Bloomquist, ordinary couple, and Peggy, is the one that was driving the car. Hits Rye, has no idea who he is. She's looking for excitement in her life, so she drives home with him stuck in the windshield, parks in the garage. The husband, Ed, comes home. They kill Rye and they dispose of the body. So, after all that, the show follows the crime family trying to figure out, hey, what happened to Rye? What happened to their youngest son? Follows a rival crime family that's also looking for Rye to try to get in on this crime family. A state trooper, Lou Salverson, just trying to solve the mystery of what the heck happened at this diner, two people dead, and this trail of blood out in the street. And it follows the couple trying to hide the crime of killing Rye, doing ridiculous things like, oh, we cleaned up the car. Now let's go slam it into a tree, pretend we got drunk into a car accident to cover up the fact our car got damaged. It is ridiculous, and you just see them having to spin this lie, just adding more and more to it, getting more and more ridiculous, and threatening to get caught. The cast is fantastic. The Blomquist, the couple, are played by Kristen Dunst and Jesse Plemons, who are married in real life. Well, fantastic. Ted Danson plays the cop's father-in-law. I did not recognize him for a good 2 episodes with his beard and his lack of glasses. And then some of the big characters, Kieran Culkin, Brad Garrett, Nick Offerman. It's a fun cast, and they do a great job. And that's the basis of Fargo Season 2.
Kevin, do they have the people talking in the accents
Oh,
The
yes.
Minnesota.
The Minnesota accent, which
Okay.
growing up, my family is from the Upper Peninsula, the Keweenaw Peninsula, up past
Okay.
Marquette. The accent is very, very accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
How they speak up there. And
I grew up in Ironwood in the UP, and I agree wholeheartedly.
up to the summer for the next month after talk with until so
I'm getting some glitching.
Yeah, I got some too.
So did I.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's Fargo. Highly recommend either the movie or the show. If you're looking for kind of a black comedy, kind of a fun crime. I wouldn't even call it a thriller. The criminals are not confident enough to hit the level of thriller.
I always
But-
thought it was Home Alone, but if you just up the stakes and make it more bloody, it's kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Like, just to go off on a little tangent, in the movie, the main character has his wife get kidnapped so he can get a ransom from his father-in-law. It's like these ill-conceived plans that just go off the rails and everything gets worse.
Mhm.
So that's it for me. I will pass it to Leah.
Okay. I watched Leave It to Beaver. It's a classic American sitcom that follows the innocent, everyday adventures and misadventures of Theodore Cleaver, who is known as the Beaver. It is one of the first sitcoms told from a child's perspective, centering on Beaver's naive escapes in school and the suburbs, which are always resolved with gentle, moralistic parenting. The Cleavers represent an idolized middle-class 1950s American family living in a fictional town of Mayfield. Beaver's family consists of his obedient brother Wally, homemaker June, and the wise father Ward. In his first season, Wally was 12 years old and attended 8th grade, while Beaver was 7 and in 2nd grade, a 5-year age difference. The series naturally came to an end with Wally graduating from high school and Beaver graduating from grammar school. Most episodes in the series feature the Beaver getting into trouble at home, in school, or around the neighborhood, and then receiving timely and appropriate moral instruction from his father regarding his misbehavior. Because of Beaver's naivety and trusting nature, he is often exploited by others or become the victim of malicious persons. Beaver's peers cannot always be trusted or relied on in times of trouble. For instance, I personally couldn't stand his one friend, Larry Mandello. Larry had a knack for leading Beaver astray. Beaver gullibly follows his friend's advice. When Larry and Beaver inevitably get in trouble, Larry runs away and abandons Beaver to face the consequences by himself. Kind of saw Larry as a coward. Wally, Beaver's brother, is coined as being the all-American boy. He is seen as an intelligent, polite teenager who is trusted by his parents, popular with his peers, and liked by his teachers. Wally is more astute and experienced than his brother and often puts parental communications in simpler terms for Beaver's comprehension. At other times, he clues their parents in on Beaver's activities, plans, and feelings. Wally occasionally makes blunt or inappropriate comments that are bewildering or embarrassing to adults. He slips into slang occasionally, which upsets his mother. He sometimes humorously regards his parents as clueless squares, though I often think as Wally as the square. He follows the rules, rarely gets into trouble, and is unadventurous. Ward seems to have a closer relationship with Wally, I think because Wally reminds Ward of himself. Ward holds on to a belief that boys need to be masculine and try out for sports. Ward and Wally both hold athletics and sports in high regard. June Cleaver, Beaver's mother, had an affluent middle-class upbringing, contrasted with Ward's middle-class childhood, which may in part account for June's clothing taste throughout the series. June is ladylike and slightly formal in personal appearance. She always seen with perfectly coiffed hair and tasteful facial makeup. June Cleaver is frequently criticized for her depiction as a subservient stay-at-home mother who does housework in pearls and high heels. June is consistently dressed in pearls and heels to make her appear polished and elegant while doing daily housework. The pearls, along with their signature high heels, helped create a curated, idealized, and refined perfect housewife image for the era. What people may not know is that the pearls served a purpose. Barbara Billingsley, who played June, had a hollow spot in her neck. The pearls cast a necessary shadow on her neck, eliminating the unflattering, hollow, or dark spot in close-ups that could be seen due to low resolution of the black and white cameras of the day. The high heels were chosen to help Billingsley to appear as tall as or taller than the growing actors playing her sons. I personally have no critique over June Cleaver's physical appearance, but I do criticize her personality. I prefer June in the earlier seasons where she showed a flair of feminine strength and a little sass. In the later seasons, June becomes an overbearing and overly concerned mother figure. I can't help but roll my eyes as she talks about her kids as little babies. Ward was a steady, grounded father figure who led with patience and quiet wisdom rather than strictly barking orders. Ward's principal dramatic function in the series is an end to each episode with moral instructions for one or both of their irate sons. I don't particularly care for every belief that Ward tries to push on his sons. For instance, there was in one episode where Beaver was being bullied. Ward wanted Beaver to learn that if another child is aggressive to them, they need to be aggressive back. It later turns out that Beaver was beat up by a girl. So obviously, everything that Ward tried to teach him in that episode kind of fell apart after that was revealed. However, one of all the family members, I do like Ward the most. Ward preferred explaining and guiding over immediate punishment. Ward was portrayed with a measured delivery and thoughtful expressions that made his advice feel earned and sincere. He wasn't always right, but his heart was always in the right place. What others may not know is that Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward, was an ordained Methodist minister. He infused the character with his own quiet authority and sincere values, leading many fans to feel his performance was less acting and more of a genuine reflection of his character. The show was criticized for presenting an overly idyllic world that didn't reflect the realities of the time, often used as a benchmark for a perfect life that never truly existed. Modern critics state that the show reinforced patriarchal roles where Ward is the sole breadwinner and June is the primary domestic manager. Whereas I think as June is a figure that closely resembles my grandmother who grew up in the era. The same gentle voice, the same overbearing concern for my welfare. I swear I could hear her saying the same overbearing phrase. I could hear my grandmother saying the same overbearing phrases that June Cleaver uses towards her sons. Some critics argue the show is a cultural shorthand for nostalgia rather than an authentic depiction of 1950s family dynamics, making it a target for criticism by those favoring more realistic storytelling. Writers avoided showing realistic family problems, leading to a lack of depth and forced artificial resolution to conflicts, a style of storytelling that was forced on the writers by the network executives. Despite these criticisms, some modern fans argue that the show is actually progressive for its time, noting that June often exercised significant influence over Ward's parenting decisions, and that the show captured the genuine, essential questions and peer pressures of childhood. For me, Leave It to Beaver is a show about the simplicity of life set in the 1950s. I find this safe atmosphere comforting. Note that the show ran from 1957 to 1963 for 6 seasons during a time when the Vietnam War was occurring. The Vietnam War took place during November 1st, 1955 to April 30th, 1975, a time where I think a little nostalgia was needed. Beaver was a symbol of the late 1950s, early 60s American innocence, cute, freckled, playful, a little gullible. However, just a few months after the last episode of Leave It to Beaver aired on ABC, President John Kennedy was assassinated. Jerry Mathers, who played Beaver, and Tony Dow, who played Wally, did not serve in Vietnam, but both served in the U.S. National Guard during the Vietnam War. Mathers served in the California Air National Guard through 1966 to 1969 to avoid the draft, prompting a false, long-lasting urban legend that he was killed in action in Vietnam. Leave It to Beaver was an iconic sitcom that idolized the suburban family of the post-World War II era, whose innocence would be shattered by the real life of the Vietnam War. And if you're interested in seeing the show, it's available at the Davison Library.
So yeah, I think a lot of it was made like at the time it's depicting. So I think a lot of the criticisms of it being nostalgia bait are kind of not accurate. I mean, if it was made in like the 80s, reflecting the 50s, maybe, but that close to the time period, I just don't see that argument.
It
Yeah, I
does
mean-
seem like it's definitely a forerunner of things like the Brady Bunch and Full House. Very much like, here's the problem that we have, and here's how we're going to teach the kids and solve it. And yeah, there's nothing overly wrong about that. It's just
Yeah, no. My dad's family he grew up in like the 50s and 60s, kind of close to the same age as the Beaver, I think. And from all of the stories and photographs and stuff, like very much seemed pretty accurate to things you see in Leave It to Beaver.
I will say though, I can't imagine cleaning a kitchen with high heels and pearls. When my kids were little, I would not be doing that.
Well, you mentioned the reason for the pearls
Yeah.
is a costume thing. That's pretty ingenious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's the reason why
Mhm.
they did it, but it does give a certain look that yeah.
Right. Well, Alger, are you ready?
Yep. Okay. So currently on PBS, they're running a miniseries of The Count of Monte Cristo, which is one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite novels of all time, and so that inspired me to revisit an anime version of The Count of Monte Cristo, Gankutsuo, and for anybody unfamiliar with the plot of The Count of Monte Cristo, it takes place at the end of Napoleon's reign, and it follows the life of a young French sailor with a promising future named Edmond Dantes, who is falsely accused of treason and sent to the fortress prison of the Chateau d'If. After years of incarceration there, he does escape and finds a massive hidden treasure and reinvents himself as the enigmatic Count of Monte Cristo, returns to France and subsequently enacts his revenge against the three men who, for all intents and purposes, ruined his life. Gankutsuo is 24 episodes long. Each episode is approximately 24 minutes, and it has a rating of TV 14, so definitely for teenagers and adults. And for people that don't like anime, I would still suggest watching this because a lot of the things that people dislike about anime are things that don't apply to this. They take the source material very seriously. It's not cartoonish, and quite oppositely to that, they do a really good job of using the artwork to present the story expertly, in my opinion. The series takes place at the second half of the novel. So when the Count has already assumed his identity as the Count, and it gives a really good like third person view of it. The novel is told through the perspective of Edmond Dantes, the Count of Monte Cristo, and so you see him from his perspective, getting his revenge. This series is told with the main characters being a group of Parisian youths, some of whom are the children of the three men that he's getting revenge on. And it also should be noted that it has a retro futuristic setting. So the costumes look very accurate to the late or early 19th century, but two of the main characters, Albert and Franz, go to Carnival on Luna, the moon, instead of going to Rome, which they do in the novel. Most of the story does take place in Paris, so it's not too over the top. And one of the things that's very interesting too in the presentation is they do a really good job of showing the ruthlessness, the cunning, and the intricacy of the Count's and his schemes. Again, from outside of his perspective, and they even make it like physically apparent. If you can see from the artwork, he has bluish skin. He has a very vampiric appearance, which lends itself really well to the character. And one thing that struck me a lot in when you're watching it is the artwork, especially the backgrounds and the clothing that the characters are wearing. They'll use like textures and patterns. And some of those are very, very rich, very like grand looking. Some of them are static to the character. So if there's like a crest on someone's shirt, it will move with them. Other times the texture is static to the background. So when the character moves, the texture doesn't. The best example I can think of is one of the characters has a gorgeous dress that the pattern is a stained glass window. And so there is a female figure, I'm assuming it's the Virgin Mary, that like might be on her like sleeve, but as she'll move, it'll migrate to her stomach or elsewhere. I thought it was interesting. Other people might find it distracting. I don't know. You'll have to, you guys will have to watch it and figure that out for yourself. The other thing that really struck me with the show was the music. In the intro, they have like a very like haunting song that was written specifically about the Count of Monte Cristo, and you can definitely tell from the lyrics. And going back to what I said about the visuals, the opening is beautiful. It's depicted in sepia tones with ink wash artwork. It's gorgeous. If anybody wants to see what I'm talking about, I did look on YouTube, and they do have the opening under Gankutsuo opening. You can see what I'm talking about. But throughout the show, especially during like moments of like high tension and drama, of which there are a lot, the music is very dramatic. It's orchestral, and it was very reminiscent to me of Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty ballet. So top to bottom, it is a stunning show that even if you didn't care about the source material, is still just gorgeous to watch. And I would definitely suggest people give it a shot, at least the first 2 episodes, and you'll get a better idea of what you're getting in for. But yeah,
Sounds good.
Count of Monte Cristo.
So my only exposure to the Count of Monte Cristo is the 2002 film, which is all about revenge. Hey, revenge is great. I've heard the book, not quite that simple. How does the anime handle kind of the themes,
So
the
that's
confrontations?
That's one thing that I really loved about this was the fact that like any of the movies or depictions I've seen in the past, they really like cut out a lot of like the side characters and the little intrigues that are, in my opinion, essential to the story. This series has those characters in it. They at least touch on the intrigues, if not show them verbatim. So I think the fact that they took the second half of the novel and just kind of alluded to the first half in some random flashbacks really allowed them to showcase the Count, his extremely minute plans of revenge, and the effects that it had on many of the people involved.
Is Alger, is that in English? It's or is it?
It is. Okay. It is. There is it's on DVD. It's available at the Baker Park Library. It does have an English language track, and it does have the original Japanese language track with English subtitles. So you can watch it either way, but
Okay.
The voice acting is also exceptional, in my opinion. So you could watch it in English and get the full experience.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Kim.
Hey. Okay. So, what I have been watching is Andor, Star Wars Andor. I watched the first season and the second season, and I have gone back and started watching the first season again. I will say that so far there's only the first season out on DVD, which is a bummer because the second season is even better. And as far as I'm concerned, the first season was pretty great. So I'm looking forward to when that second season gets out so that people can watch the second season too. So if you're a Star Wars person, you probably have seen Rogue One, which was supposed. I mean, this gets complicated, people. Okay, all of the original trilogy and the prequel and all of this stuff. But Rogue One took place right before the beginning of the original trilogy. So the main one that most people think of, Luke and Leia and blowing up the Death Star. Rogue One took place right before that. It actually is a very good movie. I know there's been some people that go back and forth over, the quality of Star Wars stuff lately. I found it was a really good movie. And so the TV show Andor is about one of the main characters from Rogue One, Cassian Andor. And he becomes a spy in the Rebel Resistance. So he's trying to get information and stuff to the rebels in Rogue One. The TV show is basically showing how he became a spy. So the first season takes place about 5 years before the what happened in Rogue One. So it's the first season is basically him being recruited into the rebel spy web, and him just learning all this stuff and just really becoming, because he really is a person at the beginning that is in everything for himself, which is understandable. He lost his parents very young, and he had to look out for himself. So he's still looking out for himself. And the first season really is about him learning to become a spy, and also just learning that there's something bigger than himself that he wants to help with. And then the second season is more about certain political strategies and stuff and things that are happening as the Empire tries to control all of these planets. So the first season is very interesting. Like I say, Diego Luna plays Cassian Andor. You have Stellan Skarsgård, which I just love him. I love him, and I love him in this role. He is basically the guy who recruits Cassian into the spy network. So on one hand, he's a spy. On the other hand, his cover thing is that he's this, he sells antiques and everything for the very wealthy people on Coruscant. So he's going back and forth, and there's a certain, and I'm trying not to give any, spoilers here. There's just one scene where he has been his rebel person, and he's been talking to Cassian, and he's gotten Cassian out of the tough spot that he's in, and he's on a ship, and now he knows he's going to Coruscant, and he needs to put on that persona. And as he puts on his rings, and he puts on this hair piece and these clothes that are just very fine and everything, and then he just kind of to me, I just thought it was wonderful how he could basically show this whole transformation in just a few seconds without saying a word. He's just kind of like settles into, okay, this is what I'm going to be now, and I'm going to be this happy kind of, I'm just talking to you, and I'm just talking about these antiques, and I'm just, with all these rich people. But at the same time, of course, he's getting information, and he's triangulating as far as how he's going to, move the Rebel Alliance along. And of course, he has very close ties to Mon Mothma, who was a senator, and she does a lot of stuff in the government there, where she's fighting against what the Empire's trying to do. And eventually, by the time of the original trilogy, she's had to flee because they basically are after her because she's taken a stand against the Empire. And the actress, was it Genevieve O'Reilly, is the actress that plays her. She does an excellent job too. So I'm just really enjoying that. I think too, to say to anyone out there who's maybe thinking of watching it, you don't have. It sounds like you have to know a lot of Star Wars. You don't really. They do a pretty good job of not having a whole lot of stuff that only somebody who has seen this show or that show or this show would know. You kind of figure out, okay, these are the bad guys, these are the good guys. Surprisingly, there's I went back and tried to think of this. I don't think there's a lightsaber in the whole show, which is surprising, but it's somewhat refreshing too, because I love a lightsaber battle, but you know what you're getting, and you know, and this really with the fact that it's really about normal people on the ground, what's being done to them by the Empire and how they fight back. And they don't have all of the force, and they don't have all of that other stuff that the Jedi have, and how they just go through fighting. I just really enjoy it. So
I'll ask the big question: should people watch Rogue One first, or should they watch Rogue One after Andor?
Wow. I would say I would probably watch the TV series first. But I don't think it's not going to just ruin it for you to watch Rogue One first. I mean, yes, you know that Cassian has plot armor. Okay, he's not going to die, but I think him and Mon Mothma, those are the only ones that really have plot armor, so to speak. That you know that they have to survive. Everyone else is fair game, and there's a lot of people that do die in it. And so I don't think it necessarily would ruin it, but if you want to just kind of get an orderly progression of what's happened, probably watching this before Rogue One would be great. So yeah,
I really enjoyed Rogue One, and
I did too.
I remember one of the things that they had talked about specifically about the character of Cassian Andor was he wasn't a perfect good guy,
Right.
and he showed kind of like the ruthlessness of the Rebel Alliance going on in the background. Does he start in the 2 seasons as being sort of like more ruthless, and then
definitely.
Okay.
I would say yes. Well, right away he's killing someone. It's the very opening thing is him killing someone. Now he killed them because they were going to attack him and rough him up and stuff. But yes, he's definitely ruthless. He's definitely out to protect himself. And so that opening part, and the beginning portions of season 1, he's definitely out for himself.
Okay.
He even says to some of the other people in his the spy cell that they're trying to do to attack this Empire's base here. He even says to them, "I'm being paid." There's other guys there that are like, "I'm a true believer. What's your problem?" And he's like, "I'm getting paid." Okay. So that definitely, but over time of season 1, that changes, and he definitely becomes more of a believer. And then even into season 2, with what happens to certain planets and certain people, it's pretty bad, and he basically realizes that he actually cares about this cause and wants to help it. But yeah, at first he's not a pure hero. He definitely has his faults, and he has his problems. So
all right. Well, thank you everyone for sharing what you've been watching and sharing it with our patrons. And if you're interested in anything we've talked about today, visit thegdl.org, and you can place these items on hold, have them sent to any of the libraries in the county. And you can also log on to Hoopla and see what's available on there. We have some movies, some TV shows. And once again, thank you, Kim, Leah, Elger, for joining us. And thank you, everyone who's watching. Have a nice evening.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.